Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Danielle, just in case you didn't know. Now you do know. And today we are going to be opening this bad boy and reacting to all of my physical in-person fashion school projects. Actually, I don't know if they're all in here, to be honest. I think it's just like the final garments. And I can't remember the last time I opened this suitcase. So I actually have no idea if everything is in here. I unzipped the top enough to know, yeah, that looks like it. But beyond that, I have no idea. I feel like I'm very far away from the camera too. Usually I'm significantly closer, but this is going to require getting even further away, because if what I think is in here, we're going to need a lot of room to spread out. So I guess let's get into it. I have been looking forward to looking at all of this stuff, but also dreading it because it's gonna make such a freaking mess. And as you can see, my studio is already a mess. And I'm just gonna have to stuff everything back in this suitcase again when I'm done. Alright, let's see if I can get this out of here. Alright, you might not be able to tell what this is, and I'm not even sure I'm gonna be able to get it open again. We had to make a corset. We didn't draft it by hand, and it was not made to fit us. It was just a pattern we were given, and the idea was that we learned to sew it and did the boning and all that stuff. As you can see, I don't have any lacing in it, and it was originally white, even though like the inside of this is also not white. It has like makeup stains and stuff. I painted it this color for a photo shoot I did on the roof of a nightclub when I still lived in Toronto. But essentially the way it works is like you line the busk up here and it like hooks together and then it laces in the back. It's really just was an exercise that we did. We didn't design any of this. We didn't fit it to ourselves. I mean, a lot of the girls in my program did wear them afterwards, but I just painted mine for a photo shoot. Oh god, I can see a muslin sample in here. Okay, let's see. Whoops, that is caught on something. Okay, this is a muslin sample. So if you're not familiar, usually when you're making a dress or something, you make it in muslin first. We draped these dresses and I made this sample. I'm not like, it's hard to see, but like it has this sort of fan detail. It's all pleated. I very much like pleats, and you can see where I sewed it in yellow thread, and the tension was really bad on this because I can see the top thread pulling through to the other side. But I did, I think, make this dress at one point in time. Like, okay, so just to establish, okay, this was our sample size that we made. So our dress forms were this size, and our blocks that we were given at the beginning of our program were this size. So like this, they told us was a size 10, a US size 10, okay? I'm not sure, like this feels like maybe a size 2 or at most 4. Yeah, it's and it's like a full length gown, and there's even pins in it still. There are actual pins still in the hem from when I folded it up. If I remember correctly, I put a horsehair hem in this for the final version. I don't know if the final version is in the suitcase, but the pleated trim did not work out as well as I had hoped. Oh boy, okay. So this mess is a veil. Actually, it's not as tangled as I thought it would be. This was a ribbon veil I made to go with the wedding dress that I made for my final collection. So as you can see, it's all like peachy and white, and there's some green, like grosgrain ribbon. So this veil just tucks in your hair like you would, you know, a typical bride, except it's made entirely of ribbon. And the idea that is that it like floats behind you as you walk. It looks cute, looks great on the runway. No complaints, and I'm actually very surprised at how well it has held up. Oh yes, I remember this dress very fondly. Okay. This is my infamous sailor collar button-up dress inspired by the Aztecs. If you couldn't tell by the pyramid collar and the yellow and turquoise, okay, it has cute little puffy sleeves. I love a puff sleeve. And the cuff on these, I think I hand sewed them. Yeah, I did. I'm really bad at hand sewing, and I can tell that was definitely hand sewn. So this was a group project. We each had to make our own garment, and I wanted to make a sailor dress, and I decided that I must do a step pyramid collar, like sailor collar. And I wanted the buttons to be this big and this in your face. And I'm just gonna say, my teacher hated this dress. When I brought her the sample, which was half of this with the collar, she wasn't against the collar, but she was against the buttons. And at that point, they were just cardboard buttons, and she was already offended at just the size, let alone she didn't know they were going to be this color, and we had a little fight over it. She ripped the buttons off of the sample and cut them down to a size she thought was respectable, and I completely ignored her and put on these giant ass buttons, because if you look, they really are gigantic. This is the collar, just so you can see. Not gonna lie, I would be happy to like make this today. If this was like an inspiration I'd made, I am not unhappy with this. The only thing I would have done is put buttons in, and that's, or not buttons, pockets. I meant pockets. And, you know, made it in size fat, because I make things in size fat now. So, oh, it has a facing in here. It's all serged and fused. All the seams are professionally done. Yeah, we didn't half-ass stuff. You handed in a complete garment that was ready to go up for sale. Oh, I remember this top. If we can call it a top. So, oh my gosh. This thing is not... Okay, let's give it a little fluff, shall we? It's made out of linen, so it's pretty wrinkly. But this tiny little thing is just like a little tiny crop top. It has suede fringe, like actual suede. The strap is suede. This is the first time I ever sewed leather, actually. And I remember hating it, but deciding, you know what? Let's do it again later. The fabric itself is all a really nice linen, and this was part of my final collection. As you can see, it basically covers like one boob for me, but this actually fit on my model, so. Oh, and I accidentally, just moments before going on stage, steamed the suede, which I curse myself even for now, because it kind of crinkled it up like cooked bacon, because the suede is made of pigskin. Hello, baby. Okay, so this is one of my favorite things that I've ever made. And I tried to sell it once, a very long time ago. When I first moved home, I got my stuff into a store called Get Funky. It's not around anymore, but I wanted to like sell my stuff, right? So, oh, this button is barely hanging on. And this is something I'd made for school. It's a little beat up right now because it was in store. And the original price, let's say like 10 years ago that I priced it for, was $125. And to be honest, if I made this today, it would be probably 3 times as much because this thing is a lot of freaking work. Okay, so let's break it down. Again, it's very small. It is a romper. It has pockets. They're not very deep pockets, but it does have pockets. I had to make them shallow because like when you make a pocket bag, like it has to, I wanted it to tuck in the facing in here. So it's just for like where to put your hands basically. So we've got shorts, and they're like little booty shorts, so they're not very long at all. It has a 3/4 length sleeve, a very high collar, okay, that you can like leave open, put all the way up, really style it. But then, okay, I'm not sure if you've noticed, it unbuttons all the way down, okay, to the very bottom, and like literally this leg hole is completely open if you want it to be. Now, no one ever wore it that way, but this is one of my very favorite things. It was a total pain in the ass to sew at like the collar and stuff because it got real bunchy and things, but yeah, and then like it's completely faced inside, like there's a huge navy blue facing, and I did a contrasting facing because I wanted it, if you left it open, you to be able to see like the difference, right? So it was a whole plan. And this is still one of my favorite things that I've ever made. I love it so much. I love it so much. A little annoyed that my dart seams did not match up. But I'm annoyed every time that happens, which is almost every time that happens when I'm sewing. Okay, I'm trying to save like the really cool shit for last, but this is the dress. This is, okay, so you saw the mock-up. You saw the mock-up. I didn't realize I still had this. Okay, I wish I had a dress form to put this on, because this boning is in backwards. Boning comes on a, like, in a circle, like you buy by the meter, but is rolled up. And I put the boning in backwards, so it's literally bending kind of in, and I don't know what to say about it, but this is the dress that muslin was made out of, and like I said, it looks great in theory, but probably not like the best execution. I used like a really great like weighted crepe fabric, and it does have horsehair in the hem. I can tell. I put it in the lining and the hem. I had to tack the hem to, or the lining to the hem of the dress because it was peeking out a little. I'm not even sure if you guys can get like the full. I'm gonna do like a TikTok recording of me standing up and like holding these so you can get a full like view. But like look how small it is, okay? Like look, this is just the standard size we made. And when I was in school, I wore, I think, a 2X, 3X at the time. So like nothing fit me, and I didn't realize like that there was another world out there. So yeah, this thing is really fun and very swishy, but it definitely needs like a hook and an eye back here at the back to like hold it up, and it needs like some structure around the top for sure. My battery is blinking at me. Okay, I definitely should have cared a little bit more about this one. I think I might actually want to recreate this dress in plus size because I love it so much. Just keep in mind it's made of 100% linen, this one, so it's very crinkled, and it has been in a suitcase for like 10 years. Also keep in mind that this was made in, let's say, 2010. So yeah, like, I would say not bad. I love the color still dream about this dress, love it so much. So it has a nice deep V that you probably can't really see on camera, and the bodice part here is double lined, like self-lined. It has princess seams, it's gathered. The skirt is very full, so it's not just gathered, it's also kind of rounded, like almost a circle but not quite. I just remember piecing it together, and like every time I basically started with like the straight part of the pattern, like the flat part, and just kept adding, like slashing and spreading until it was huge. So that's the front, but then the back is also really special. It's sort of racer back, and it does like swoop up a little bit, and it just has a really interesting shape. I had to kind of piece, there's a seam right here, I had to piece it together to get this shape because it's linen and it needs to be like self-lined. It has a zipper, and in here the zipper and like the facing or the lining is finished with bias tape, which was a huge thing I did all the time. I also sewed my own labels in here with my name, like not Rebellious Clove, my like Danielle McAllister, because that's the name I used to like sell things under. I don't know if I would ever go back to it because I've kind of built Rebellious Clove to have a bit of brand recognition. But yeah, I just really like this dress a lot, and I like how swishy it is. It's kind of short, but like, again, look how small it is up top here. Like, this is, and this was actually with a bit of ease in it, so it kind of was a little loose and floated away from the person's body. Again, I did not match up the seams at the back like where it should have, and I wish I could have, but I did not manage to do that. I'm still not a super detail-oriented person where like I would let that ruin my whole life. But I am mad at myself for not making it happen. Okay, we're on to the final dress, which is still in its garment bag from the fashion show. And it's the wedding dress that I made. It was not a requirement, I just sort of like made it. And it is, again, 100% linen. I'm actually going to leave it on the hanger because it will be easier to show it to you that way. So, I can see like where it's pulling at the seams where it should have been like reinforced or something. Just going to zip it up here. I will share a photo of someone wearing this because I got pictures taken. Because it'll show it better. It's going to be really hard to see here because you really can't see the full length of it. It's nearly impossible. So, this is the front. And it is, in total, about 10 meters of white Italian linen. And cost me about $1,000 to make it. It has a deep V. The model, like, this was fit right for a model. So, like, she was quite thin, and if you notice, there is origami butterflies made out of linen all over the dress. So they are in rough shape now from being folded up in a suitcase for so long, but like this is the skirt. Like there's so much of it. The back has a little bit of a train, and the hem is finished with bias tape. The green dress at one point in time was also finished with bias tape. And I had another like orangey tiered skirt that had like a crinoline underneath. I have no idea if I sold it or what happened to it. That also was finished with bias tape. So I finished all the hems with bias tape like that, so it was cohesive. So it has a little bit of a train, nothing on the back otherwise for details, just, I'm gonna stand up and see if you can see the butterflies better. They are in rough shape. And let me tell you, this thing was stunning in its heyday. And I'm quite sad that it's been folded up like this, but yeah, I love it so much. I would still make this to this day, except I would get the freaking seams to match up on this because it's a freaking wedding dress, Danielle, and it should have been better fitted. It is lined and faced, not well, but it is done. I was working on this like to the very last second, and all of the butterflies are made out of the same fabric, so it's color on color, or I guess white on white, and they're all made, like I starched the fabric, folded them and steamed them, or like pressed them, so they're like permanently like this, and then I sewed them so that we stay folded. Like I can see stitching here. So yeah, that is what they look like. It is fully lined with what they call Bember lining, which is kind of the fancier lining. It does not create like a staticky feeling, so it doesn't stick to your legs when you're walking. And this thing walked down a runway so beautifully. Yeah, I'll share a photo. The girl modeling in the photo was 17 at the time, and just for context, we were standing on the roof of a music store that doesn't exist anymore, I don't think, or it does, but we were using the wall of the Zanzibar strip club as the backdrop while on the roof of the store next to it. So if you're from Toronto, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because the Zanzibar still exists. That is everything from, well, what was left of my school projects. There are definitely some missing. I think I sold them when I moved home, or there's another suitcase somewhere. I have no idea. It was a very long time ago, and I'll be honest, some of the stuff I made, I never want to see again. But the stuff in that suitcase, I'm very happy I kept, and I will keep for as long as humanly possible, because this, even though I cried over it and it cost me thousands of dollars to make, I am so happy that I still have all of these things, and I'm so happy I kept them. So I can look back on them, because genuinely they still inspire me and they still bring back memories, and they bring back the inspiration that I had at the time when I was looking at them and when I was making them. So anyways, I hope you all enjoyed seeing this little road trip down memory lane. And if you want to see any or hear any other stories from fashion school from, you know, over 10 years ago, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!